But two observations I would make. One is that the IDF actual spokesman, Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, said shots had been directed toward the two men as they exited a building. Now, we can all see that is not what happened. So that's a lie. So you've got an IDF spokesperson on the record lying about
how is that a lie, Piers?
Because they were not shot as they exited a building. They've been shoved back under the building by the Israeli.
It's a pretty big omission.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they came out and surrendered and then were pushed back in and then executed. Yeah. They weren't shot as they exited the building. Yeah. And the second thing I would say is you've got our old friend Ben-Gvir, the National Security Minister, who gave his full backing to the officers involved, saying terrorists must die. And Dave Smith, I'll bring you in here. Right here, you've got two of the biggest problems in this whole war. One is that we only know about this because it was caught on camera. And it begs the question, how many more incidents like this have been going on that we don't know about? Once again, I remind people, and Jonathan, I know you agree with me about this, it is outrageous that the international media remain banned from the ground in Gaza, where they could verify what's been going on there, even though we're 7 weeks into a ceasefire, albeit one which has continued to have a lot of violence within it, but it is a ceasefire, and you still won't let the journalists in. I think it's outrageous that the Israeli government continues that ban. So you can't verify what's going on. But again, this only came to our light because of a video that was taken. And then you have people like Ben-Gvir and Smotrich who don't give a damn. They would happily see all the Palestinians out of there. That's what their stated mission is here. Yes. And the question then becomes, how much of their stated mission, which everyone on the Israeli side always tries to downplay, they're not that important, they're not this, not that. Well, they're senior members of the government. And I think, Netanyahu only got back into power by jumping into bed with these people. And I think he's been pushed ever more to the right in terms of his outlook on this. So you've got all this going on as the backdrop to this. What do you think about this video and what it represents?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, I think you hit a lot of it exactly right, Piers, which is that, right, look, it's not just that the incident happened, which is horrible enough, but then the way that IDF spokesmen and the highest ministers in the government just lie through their freaking teeth about it. Like, they've been caught so many times, Piers, and you're absolutely right. There's a whole lot we don't know about, and I think when you won't let the media in, it reasonably leads to a presumption of guilt. The presumption is that you're trying to hide a lot of things, but just look at what we do know, Piers. We know that there's been multiple doctors in Gaza who have reported that toddlers have been used as target practice. We know that the IDF has admitted, multiple IDF soldiers and the Israeli government has admitted that they were firing live rounds into sites where people were desperately trying to get a little bit of food. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed in this way. We know about the Where's Daddy program. We know about all types of indiscriminate killing of innocent civilians. And every single time they lie through their teeth about it. And so I'm sorry, Jonathan can phrase this as that's not the IDF. People should be held responsible. There's an international... Well, it seems to really often be exactly what the IDF does, and nobody ever seems to be held responsible.
I mean, it's very hard, again, Jonathan, it is very hard to maintain a position that the IDF and these security forces were operating, as you say, under their command, that the IDF is the most moral army in the world when you see them literally breaching the Geneva Convention on tape. You see them executing people who have just surrendered.
I'm an American. Your country is on my country's welfare. We have financed and given you the weapons and the diplomatic cover and the literal protection and vetoed the resolutions at the UN. We have protected and propped up Israel. And you have a lot of nerve to turn around and then say that we scrutinize what you do too much. I am forced against my will to pay for the destruction of Gaza, to pay for the military occupation of Palestine. And yeah, when I see videos of the military occupiers murdering a couple of surrendering people, yeah, I'm going to scrutinize that. I'm going to have an opinion on that. And it's just absolutely outrageous that you guys sit here when the whole world is watching. Sir, let me be honest with you. When the whole world sees you describe the IDF as fighting terrorism, we're all going, I don't know how dumb you think we are. The IDF, you were a spokesman for the biggest terrorist terrorist organization in the region. You're talking here with Piers Morgan, who isn't a Jew hater, and me, who is Jewish, and you're invoking anti-Semitism whenever Israel gets criticism. Maybe it's just that you guys are a rogue regime that's killing tens of thousands of people and violating international law and also attempting to drag my country into more and more conflicts, exerting an undue amount of influence on my government. Maybe that's what's going on. And maybe you should admit this. You know, it's like you're like the person who's like a serial gambler and then says the reason I'm losing everything is because everyone's against me. Look at your own behavior, man.